Hi guys, this is Miss Anderson, and today's lesson is about context clues, okay? We are going to learn how to determine the meaning of unknown words by using a strategy called context clues. This will be a reading strategy, and this is a strategy that all good readers use, okay? So the essential question that you want to ask yourself while you're going through this lesson is, how can I determine the meaning of unknown words by using context clues? Okay, let's go, guys. So let me ask you a question. When you are reading and you come to a new word or a word that you do not know, what are some ways that you use to determine the meaning of that word? So what do you do when you come to a word that you do not know? So if you said that you skip it, if you said that you don't worry about it, then that's not a good strategy for good readers, okay? Because every word in a text helps you to understand that passage, that novel, that book, or that information that you are trying to receive. So you cannot skip over words, okay? So now, what about looking up a word in the dictionary? Or what about going to Google to look up the definition? And those are excellent ways to understand and to look up the meaning of new words. But what happens if you don't have Google or you don't have a dictionary next to you? Okay. What happens if you cannot look up a word in a dictionary or you can't go online and look for a word? What do you do then? If you said you use context clues, then you would be absolutely correct. That is correct. You would use a strategy called context clues. So today's lesson is going to focus on how readers use context clues to determine the meaning of unknown words. I'll repeat that. We're going to learn how to read and determine the meaning of unknown words by using a reading strategy called context clues. So first, let's get an understanding of what exactly are context clues, okay? So context, all right, means within and around. And in this case, within and around the unknown word. So context, and we're going to learn prefixes and root words in our class, okay? Con means with, and text means something that you read, okay? So context means with the text. And that's exactly when we put clues next to it. These clues are hints that are in the text that will help you figure out the meaning of an unknown word. And they are always there, okay? They are always there. So you never have to worry about, well, is there is there always going to be any clues in the text for an unknown word? The answer to that question is yes. There will always be a clue in the text to help you decode or determine the meaning of an unknown word. Okay? All right, so let's look, sorry, let's now look at some types of context clues. Okay, so here are four different types, and I added on one, okay, that you're going to see when we do some practice, all right? So let me grab my pen here, all right? So the first one we're going to talk about is definitions, all right? So sometimes an author may give a definition of the unknown word. So let's look at this example here. A chimera is a mythical creature with body parts from various animals. Chimeria. Okay, so if you were reading a text and it was talking about chimerias, you have no idea what that word means, okay? Is a clue that is defining that word. It's telling you exactly what that word is. And once you start noticing these things, you'll notice that context clues are all around the text, okay? And definitions are one way that authors give to help you determine the meaning of an unknown word. Why? Because no one wants to trick you. No one wants you to misunderstand. So they're going to always put that clue there. Okay. So was a, is a, all of that lets you know that this is a definition of the word that came before it. Okay. All right, let's go and look at a synonym. Okay, so we know a synonym is a word that is similar to another word. Okay, so it's a word or phrase that shares the same meaning with another word. All right, let's look at our example. We all agreed that the spicy tomato soup was very savory. Okay, so what if we didn't know what savory means? Okay, so we all agreed that the spicy tomato soup was very savory. So spicy and savory. So the authors told us that we agreed that the spicy tomato soup, because that's describing the tomato soup, was very savory. Okay, so spicy and savory have the same meaning. So when you see synonyms, that's going to take some practice for you, but once you get it, I promise you, you'll be able to spot synonym context clue in no time at all. All right. Let's move on to the next one, antonyms, okay? And we know antonyms are words that share the opposite meaning, so they're the opposite of synonyms. Let's look at the example. The gorilla is often gentle, but it can also be ferocious. And there's your clue there. That but, okay? But always means the opposite. So they told us that the gorilla is often gentle. However, it can also be ferocious. So if ferocious is opposite of gentle, then that means ferocious means big and bad. So he is dangerous, okay? So that's an antonym, and you'll get used to seeing those as well. Let's move on to the next one, an example. Authors love to use examples, okay? Examples are words or phrases that illustrate the subject in the sentence, okay? Let's look at this example here. Constellations, like the famous group of stars named Orion, can be seen on a clear night, okay? So constellations is our unknown word if we didn't know what that means, and we may not, okay? So when we see like, okay, like is given an example. The famous group of stars named Orion. So Orion is a type of constellation. So what is Orion? It's a group of stars, okay? So that's what a constellation is. It's a group of stars, and they gave us an example by using the group of stars called Orion. So this constellation can be seen on a clear night, okay? So that's an example. Now the last type of context clue that I have here is an explanation, okay? And you're going to see that one as well once you start practicing, okay? All right, so those are our types of context clues. You have definition, you have synonyms, you have antonyms, and then you have examples and also explanations, okay? All right, let's keep going, guys. Okay, so here are some things that I would like for you to remember when you are practicing your context clues, okay? So when you're practicing your context clues and you come to an unknown word, don't just stop there. Read the entire sentence. So that means everything that comes before or after the word, okay? And then go back and reread before and after the new word in the text. And then start looking for your clues. Look for definitions, explanations, synonyms, which are comparisons, or antonyms, which are opposites, and examples, and of course, explanations. Based on the word parts, try to figure out what the word means. And we're going to talk about word parts in class. Those are called affixes. And then replace, once you come up with another word, Try replacing that word with the unknown word, and then go back to the text and reread it and replace it with that new word. If when you read it, if you put that new word in and it makes sense, then you know you have substituted or now know the meaning of that unknown word, okay? If you replace it with the word and it doesn't make sense, then that meaning of that unknown word is not correct, and you have to use your clues again to figure out a word that means close to it, okay? So this is a strategy that has to be practiced, okay? But this is how we are going to do it, all right? And you're going to get lots of practice, so don't worry about that. You're going to get lots of practice. Okay, so just like I was saying, in order for this to become a habit, you have to practice it and practice it. And you must trust me that it will get easier and easier to do once it becomes a habit. So it's going to be a little challenging at first, okay, because you're learning a new skill. But if you keep at it and if you pay attention like a detective, if you truly pay attention to the clues and then determine whether what type of clue that was it an antonym, was it a synonym, was it an example, was it a definition, was it an explanation, then you'll get better and better at being able to apply the strategy, okay? You got to trust me on that. Okay, so here's how you are going to practice, okay? Next, you're going to watch two videos, and those videos are going to show you some examples, okay, of how to look for each type of context clue. And then once you finish those two videos, then you're going to practice your new skill in IXL, and then you're going to practice it with me in class, reading passages, reading books, all of that, okay? So let's get you to practicing first, all right? So now the first video is going to pretty much go over everything that I said here, but she's going to give some more detailed examples. I really like this video. She did a very good job in this video. The second video is going to be a little bit high level, but I have faith and confidence in you that you'll be able to grasp it and you'll be able to follow along with it, okay? If you have any questions, please let me know, all right? But good luck in your practicing your new skill of context clues.